Stewie, everyone likes to look good at this time of the year, but how are the boys looking compared to previous seasons?
Really good. Yeah, we're in a really good position. The first phase of pre-season is the one where clearly we've done all our capacity testing in the gym and on the field to get a look at the guys, our drill intensity. We're really happy with where they're positioned now. We've got a healthy list. Our rehab boys have made strong progress and have tracked on plan, and now we're really positioned for the second phase of pre-season where our training minutes and our match play minutes really bump up and everyone's positioned ready to start that.
What could you say publicly that would give a layman like me a measure of where you're at compared to last time, or why you're happy with how it is?
Well, really capacity testing is probably the one that you're looking at year-on-year improvement, and we chase PBs for that reason, just to show that quite often you're on a journey of trying to progress each year and want to see these qualities just continue to build, and that's what the testing shows us, that we've been on a pathway now for a good 3-4 years focusing on things, and they've just continued to develop. It also demonstrates the attitude of the group, that there's an energy and want to get stuck into this season.
Were there any key metrics that you felt that you needed to improve on, especially heading into
again, just building on, so they were already at a strong level, but our ability to repeat speed, we've brought in some new testing to test that. And we've also targeted our gym, particularly our upper body strength, which we've wanted to make some changes in there, and both have improved.
There's been a bit of talk about wanting to play a more free-flowing style. How does that have a flow-on effect in terms of what you're doing through pre-season?
Yeah, our focus areas around particularly our running patterns and the conditioning I provide is to support that program. So what we are really chasing is greater speed output from our group in the style we play, particularly in defence, and we're chasing that hard.
Is that making people faster?
Making them faster and making their ability to repeat intensity better, more resilient.
The boys that have come in, I mean, most of them seem to be right in that mould. Have they sort of set a different standard?
Not so much a different standard, but they've come in ready to adjust to our style of running and program. Both of Rory and Jack have come from a really strong program, physical performance program, and they've settled right in. And then Joe Richards is already, as an athlete, he's really strong, and so he's fitted in really easily to our methods of training.
Can you talk us through a few of the rehab boys?
Yeah, we've finishing deeper last year, we accumulated some guys that were managing little niggles through the year, and we've taken collaboratively, we've looked at it and gone, well, we've got to take some time to settle them down through the off-season and through this early phase of pre-season. So I'm talking there and referencing probably Birdo, Bergman, Boak and Drew in particular, that we've just thought they're experienced players. We've got to take our time to make sure they're arriving at the start line feeling good and still have the preparation to perform at a high level, and we certainly believe they're at that level.
What do they lose perhaps by not being full gas from day one?
Yeah, well, I actually don't feel like they lose anything. In many senses, it's a refresh for them, that they've been in the system, most of them, for so long, that to draw more out of performance, sometimes a little bit of a less approach and a management approach is going to draw out more performance, and that's where we feel all four of those are at. Their capacity testing was PB level as well, so that's an indication of that.
Any of the young guys impressed to the eye, Berry?
Yeah, Barry, all three of them have got their strengths and have brought those to the table from day one, and they have expectation to play round one as they should, and they're going for it. So that's the attitude you want.
Sam Powell-Pepper, is he on target for round one? Normally that is the case within a 12-month, but how's he going?
Yeah, very much so. He's on track. He's at the very end stage now. He's ticked off all the functional testing that we get done externally for him and all our AC rehab guys. He's ready. He's just got the final stages now of integrating back into match play. You'll see him out there with a pink hat. That's just the precautionary stuff. I think he's 1 week away from dropping that and full match play minutes, so he's super excited.
He must be really hungry to get back out there.
He is, particularly him. He's such a footballer. Well, I don't know, the conditioning and that sort of thing, he attacks it, but he loves being on field and going for it, and he's ready.
How is Todd?
Yeah, we're all shattered for Todd. It was, it's a long rehab for him ahead as well. He's shown so much resilience with the injury adversity he has faced across his career, and he's had the surgery today and he's recovering well from it, early stages, and it's all gone successfully. So we've got on the front foot and it's happened, but we're here to support him. It's going to be a long rehab, and I'm sure he'll get through it, given how he attacks his rehab and how resilient he is.
Have you got an early sense of what sort of timeline you're looking at?
Yeah, it can be 6 months plus, really. It's anywhere there. We've got to see more and I guess establish his functional capacity first and get some range of motion and see how he goes post-op and before we can really settle on a timeline. But yeah, shattering news, and the boys are all getting around him, and we're really disappointed to see that happen to him because he had started really strongly in pre-season.
Haven't placed him onto the inactive list straight away. Can you just talk us through that position?
Sorry?
Haven't placed him straight onto the
No,
inactive
that's
list
still
yet?
probably to work through, and the powers that be will work through that.
What was the motion? I don't know if you saw it or the drill.
Innocuous incident, yeah. He was no one around him, although he felt the way he reacted that there were people around him, but he was out in space by himself. It's a movement he's performed thousands of times in training, so there's nothing there that could have predicted that type of injury. Unfortunately, it just happens, and it's an unlucky incident for him.
What's it like in that moment when I would imagine even the boys that aren't medically inclined probably have a pretty good idea of what's happened, and Todd included? What's it like for the training drill? Can you just feel the air?
Yeah, you can. You can feel like a shock response by everyone, coaching staff that are immediately in the drill, and the playing group sort of takes a little bit of adjustment back into training from it. And there's a lot of initial support, particularly his closer mates that'll get around him to support him immediately, and you could sense that it was a serious injury.
With he was coming back from concussion, I know he's been was cleared. Is any silver lining in this that time not out having contact could help prolong his career in a strange way?
Maybe. I mean, all the diagnostic tests we had done suggested that it was no risk of that. He was tracking well and recovering well from the concussions, but that could be a silver lining out of it, an additional recovery time. But we were managing him through non-contact drills, and he was tracking really well, and we were just being overcautious there in that space. But yeah, time will tell.
How's Kane Farrell going?
Really well. He's in the pepper category, that he's tracking well in rehab as planned, and we're hopeful and open that round one is very much on the table for him. He's an experienced player that knows now how to get himself mentally right to perform, and he's hit all the conditioning standards. So it's just again some of the top end speed, intensity, change of direction movements that he's got to tick off.
In terms of who could come in to potentially replace Todd or Charlie as well, you've got a couple of options.
Yeah, we do, and you're thinking someone like an Ollie Lord is really ready to want to grab that opportunity in front of him. But there is contingency in the list, and those guys are going to go harder at it.
On those boys, have any of them had any, dramatic physical off seasons, bigger chest, bigger running capacity, like specifically those big tall forwards that might come in and get more minutes now without Todd?
Well, in terms of probably Ollie Lord's the one that we've proactively got a little bit more size into him and changed his muscle mass and increased that. The other forwards we're sort of possessed with are really good runners as it is, so they're just making their strengths even more bigger, So, but Ollie Lord's the one that's made a shift and is hungry for it.
Was that identified because of the loss of Charlie in particular?
Yeah, and style of play, and probably his running engine is slightly different to a George and a Lukosius, that he's better suited to more a contest, battles, work rate type forward.
Speaking of big blokes, the two ruckmen who've been running laps lately, how are
Yeah,
they tracking?
yeah, they're on a longer rehab. They're both slightly different knee injuries, but it's a longer rehab plan for them. They're tracking well. Soldo's ahead of Viz at the moment, just based on the severity of the injury that Viz had, but they are tracking well and looking to integrate into training over the next week, Soldo, and Viz the week after.